We are recording. So, hey everyone, it is Dale with the Priority One Travel Podcast. You will be listening to this or watching this on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever else I can find a place to put it. Today, I am doing a first. It's a first. I have a guest and I'm in studio, but someone else's studio. I am at Steam Whistle Coffee Roasters in Crown Point, Indiana. Which is my favorite coffee house and has been a staple of my operations since they opened
three and a half years ago.
3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So if there's any background noise or anything like that, it is what it is. I'm not a pro yet at this podcast stuff, and we'll just make the best of it. So I am with the owner of Steam Whistle, Tracy Jury, who also just recently became a Priority One Travel client.
Yeah.
A hot topic in the travel industry or a hot topic with our clients is traveling during a pandemic. And if people are so comfortable to do so, what is that experience like? And Tracy, we just sent her and her husband to Los Cabos, to Secrets Los Cabos. So I guess we'll state the obvious. You made it back.
We made it back. We made it back without coronavirus. Very positive experience. They're doing it right in Mexico from my perspective. And I've never seen precautions quite like they're taking there.
And we'll revisit something you said to me as we talk, but you did say something to me in a text. I remember the one day saying, I've never felt safer in a pandemic. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So we'll start at the beginning. And while I said you made it home, it took 2 attempts to actually get you there.
Yeah.
So, as a travel agent, we always recommend our clients make sure their passport stuff's in order, or they have enough room to book the trip and be able to go on the trip. And in your instance, in most situations, that was something that you should have been able to achieve. So I'll tell a little bit of the tale and you can tell it from your end, but we booked the trip for you and you had, I think, 8 to 10 weeks to go. You had mailed your passport application and paid for the express service on December 27th, the 27th of December. And it wasn't until January 21st that your passport hit the system.
Correct.
So talk about the frustration that was involved with that.
Okay, so yeah, my husband booked the trip with Dale as a surprise for Christmas. Immediately put all my documents and everything together so that I could get everything expedited. I paid for overnight shipping to get it to the priority expedited processing in Pennsylvania, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sent all that, had all my tracking numbers in hold, and no one, it literally got lost going out there, and it took almost a full month before it got out to the people there. Expedited is backed up by all accounts for the passport, and because you have to send your original documents on everything, it's not like I could walk into or even try to make an appointment in the Chicago bureau to get something handled there. So yeah, a month goes by, it finally hits the system January 21st.
Yep.
And it does no good to call the US State Department because any information you get from them is coming directly off the webpage that you can check yourself. So I don't know, all total, I think I made 4 or 5 different calls out there, and at an hour and a half to 2 hours each time on hold, just to be told what was on the page. Finally, it clears and I get all of my original documents back, but in the note that the passport should be arriving within a day of that. So finally, a couple of days go by, I don't get it, get on that web page again to get the tracking information, which isn't there. Finally have to call again, get somebody to get me the tracking information. And then my passport was printed out west somewhere, and it got lost in Tucson. And no one can help you with that. I finally started calling to get the Tucson postmaster. And they told me that my passport had been passed off to FedEx, but there's supposedly no tracking exchange between the two, and no one could tell me where it was.
So the reason I bring this up is not necessarily to start on the wrong note, but
right.
Brett and Tracy found out very quickly the value of a travel agent. So we waited till, I think you guys were supposed to leave on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we waited till Thursday because, being smart customers, they had purchased the cancel for any reason travel protection through the supplier, which in this instance we used FunJet. And it was literally no questions asked. Hey, we need to cancel this reservation. Now, Brett and Tracy had taken the future travel credit option, which is literally that. It's a future travel credit. So you take your lump sum of money, less the cost of the insurance, and that's how much money you have to use on another trip. Mm-hmm. So when we rebooked Brett and Tracy, by the time it was all said and done, because of that travel protection, there was no cancellation fees, there was no change fees, there was no penalties, there was no nothing. I think to rebook them, it cost them $140 to reactivate the insurance, somewhere in that range. Otherwise, it was easy. It was, we want to go these dates. And it was done. So as a travel advisor, we always preach travel insurance, travel protection, do one or the other. It's an essential thing. You know, a lot of times our clients will tell us, you know, come hell or high water, I'm going on this vacation. But when hell or high water shows up, you find out that there's reasons you may not go. So as a testament to that, as you as the client, obviously there was value in that, right?
Right. And we've never purchased travel insurance before when we've booked things, and we've always done it ourselves. But this was our first resort or anything, and obviously first time traveling in a pandemic. So Dale was very adamant that, hey, you need this on there. And I'm really, really thankful we did, because otherwise, in addition to being out a whole lot of money on this whole passport mess, we would have been out of trip.
Right. And so we just shifted it back a month. So another thing that we preach about, there's actually a lot of good stories that come out of Brett and Tracy's story, if we're being honest. So one of the things,
if Dale had any hair left, every strand of hair would be white.
Bring it up.
Just based on
bring it up. It's gone. Yes, the hair is gone.
No,
that's why I'm wearing the hat. By the way, I hope people saw the no-hitter shutout last night. Almost perfect game. Anyways, so another thing that came up, which is an interesting point, and honestly, Brett and Tracy, in their defense, they followed the rules. My recommendation for international travel is arrive at the airport no less than 3 hours before, and domestic is no less than 2, because you don't know what security is going to be like. You don't know what travel is going to be like that day. Even in a pandemic, when Brett and Tracy went, airport travel was the highest it had been in a long time. So you were good clients and you arrived at the airport 3 hours prior. And how long were you in the security line?
Over an hour.
Yeah.
Over an hour. We were flying American. If you haven't been to the O'Hare American terminal of late, give yourself more than enough time. That place was a zoo. I was taking pictures of all the people in that terminal and sending them to Dale, because they don't have clearly marked queues either to get in line. So there's just people everywhere. They only have one security lane for regular customers and one TSA pre-check in each spot. So there's only 3 security lines open, no wickets. It's a mess. And
ironically, I don't know if you know this or not, but one of the photos you took and I posted, a friend of mine was in that photo. He was traveling domestically, and he said, "Hey, I'm in that picture," and he pointed to it.
That's hilarious.
And so shout out to my friend Ryan Williams, who is a very, very good friend of mine, but he travels the world as a sound and lighting guy for concerts. He owns a
Okay.
company that does sound and lighting for concerts.
Sorry
and-
for taking your picture without your permission.
Yeah, no, he
Brian.
thought it, but he thought it was totally funny that he could identify himself in the photo. So anyways,
And he was probably just as frustrated as we were.
Yeah, I think
It was
everyone
a-
was. I
it
think
was
he
a
said too.
mess.
Yeah, I think he said too, it was a big mess. So arriving early, that's important. Travel protection,
Yes.
that's insurance. So we get on the plane, right? So talk about and again, you know, we've traveled domestically recently. For the most part, it still hasn't changed. So let's talk about the air travel portion, masks, where they were required and everything like that. Talk about how that was, and did you find it to be an inconvenience, or was it fine for the flight?
You know, the masks have never been a problem for me. I was an early adopter of it. Obviously, I own a business, and you know, it's to me, it's the right thing to do. So I don't have a problem having masks on. Some people really, really do.
Mhm.
But no, you're supposed to have them on all through the airport. If you do have the person that pulls it down, usually one of the airport personnel would say, back up, you know, type thing. Once you got to the seating areas, it was a little bit more lax because you're not up moving around and things like that. The airplane, you get on the plane, you are wearing your mask. You can take it down briefly to eat or drink. But if one of the flight attendants comes through and the mask isn't on and you're not actively
Mhm.
eating or drinking, they ask you to put it back up.
And you had a full flight, right? On the way down?
The flight was mostly full.
Okay.
What we did find is because the flight attendants are not active up and down the aisles as they once were, they were moving people from the back of the plane up towards the front to fill the empty seats so that the flight attendants were able to sit down and be a bit more comfortable than in their jump seats.
Absolutely, because it's shout out to my cousin Kate, whoop, whoop, Spirit Airlines flight attendant.
Yay!
You know, they don't have an easy job, so
No.
anything to make their job easier, you know, is great.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk. Okay, so leaving the United States, no testing requirement to Mexico. Did you get temperature checked at O'Hare at all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
temperature checked at O'Hare? Okay.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then was that at the check-in process, or was
It
that
was.
okay?
It was at the with your luggage.
Okay, so
I
at the
don't know if they were checking people that weren't checking luggage, if they were just carry on. I
Mhm,
didn't.
but
see
they checked
evidence
you
of
guys.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
We were checked.
Okay, so you get on the plane, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I know Southwest right now, they're doing like a snack and some water. Did American do anything more than that?
They come through. They hand you a bag, a little Ziploc baggie that had. There was a bottle of water. And I think it was pretzels.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was just pretzels.
So similar. Was there alcohol?
No.
No. So that's pretty standard. Okay.
I think you could order it if you wanted to, but you know, they're not actively
Pushing that out there.
no.
Sure.
No. And then there was like a sanitizer wipe
Okay.
in that little baggie for us as well.
Okay.
So yeah, and we got that little baggie going down and coming back. There weren't like 2 sets or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk arrival into Los Cabos Airport.
Right.
Immigration and customs. What was talk about the health screening when you got there? Obviously, when you arrive, I don't know that I need to rehash everything, but when you arrive into an international destination, you have to do immigration and customs. That was
Yes.
pre-pandemic. That has nothing to do with, you know, what we're dealing with now. So with the health and safety aspect of things, when you arrived, what steps did they have? What did they do for you when you arrived into immigration and customs? Was there a temperature screen? Was there?
I don't recall there being a temperature
Okay.
screen. However, Dale had sent us all the forms ahead of time to print out and fill out. That was super helpful. They did also hand those out on the airline.
Mhm.
So I mean, we were definitely very well prepared.
Was there even a health questionnaire when you arrived? Did they ask you, are you sick? Are
They,
you this?
yeah. I mean,
okay.
that was all part of that.
Yeah.
You know, but I think they leaned more heavily on the originating airport to handle
that stuff. Sure.
Yeah. But when you get to Los Cabos, there's hand sanitizer everywhere. There's like a double mat system in
Mhm.
every doorway. So there's like sanitizer liquid in the first mat, and then there's one to kind of scuff it off, you know.
Okay.
So my shoes have never been so clean as they were in Mexico, which was amazing. Just the protocols that they need our tourism there.
Mhm.
I would say probably more than some places.
Mhm.
So they're taking precautions that I never would have thought of.
So we arranged private. My recommendation to Brett and Tracy was that they did a private driver. With the pandemic going on, whether you're vaccinated or not, you're whatever. I proposed to my clients that, would you like to be on a packed bus or would you rather your own ride? You guys had your own shared transfer. So you go through immigration, you go through customs, you get your bags, you go out the door, they say, go to this driver, you meet your driver. And I remember I got a text message from you. What was waiting for you inside your private driver's car?
Well, stepping back, when you meet your driver, the first thing they do is they take your luggage off to the side, but they come and they spritz your hands with the hand sanitizer. They're fully masked. I can't think of seeing anybody down there in the service sector that didn't have the face mask on.
Mhm.
And if they didn't have a face mask on, they had the shields,
Okay.
the face shields. But anyway, they meet you with your hand sanitizer, squirt, squirt. As you go to get into the vehicle, they spray your shoes. And you get in, they offer you a nice cold cerveza that you can drink while you're going down the road. And they also take like Lysol type wipes and stuff, and they totally sanitize your luggage before they even put it in the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it was super nice. I mean, it was pretty cushy.
Well, and
from
it
the
was just you and
standpoint.
Brett
Here you
then
are
to
with
enjoy the ride,
cerveza.
right? You got your beer and I remember, so we were talking before, Sam and I honeymooned in Los Cabos, but it's been since 2006. But I do remember the drive being very scenic, and I remember it kind of being something I had never experienced before. So like we were driving to the resort we stayed at, which was the Rio, and we're driving down this highway, and then all of a sudden our driver makes a hard left and we're on a dirt road. We almost hit a cow.
Oh, wow.
And I said, what are we doing? And the guy says, oh, the highway collapsed. There's a way we have to go around it. Poor construction. But it was still kind of like authentic, different, something I remember when we talk about, but it's a nice drive. So you get to the resort, it's just you and Brett. How was check-in? What was check-in like?
Check-in was super easy and personalized, I would say. They had someone was there to meet you immediately. Again, the luggage had come out, they sanitized it again, and then they take care of getting it to your room. But your luggage is sanitized again before it goes anywhere else. So then, they brought us in, we sat down with the front desk people, got everything in place. Our room wasn't quite ready. So they sent us over to the bar to have the first of many drinks.
Yeah. Duh. It's all inclusive.
It
Why
was
would
all
you not?
inclusive. Why wouldn't you? Yeah. And they did offer us an upgrade when we were there.
Okay.
And I can't remember, I think you and Brett talked more about that.
Well,
They
yeah, so what had
upgraded us
happened
to a
is-
preferred.
So you were preferred club the first time, maybe,
Yes.
and then when we rebooked it, the exact
wasn't
category
available.
wasn't available because it just wasn't available. So they must have had something available when you got there.
Yeah.
And don't mind me, I'm looking something up. I want to be factual when I say something here in a minute. So just keep talking. So check in.
And we did go ahead and do the upgrade to the preferred, which our room, when we were going down, when we were scheduled the first time, it was a ocean view swim out room. When we rebooked, we couldn't get to ocean view. It was garden view.
Okay.
But because we did the preferred, they moved us to a garden view preferred room that if you sat on the left-hand side of your patio, you could see the ocean. So, I mean, we did that. The other benefit to doing the preferred for us is for lack of a better term, the general population pool. That area could get pretty crowded.
Right.
That's where the party was, honestly. But if you were looking more for a quieter area to watch the whales and things like that,
which is one of the coolest things to do in
oh
Los
my
Cabos.
gosh,
Absolutely.
that was amazing.
Yeah, no, that is that's a real treat to be
yeah.
able to do that, you know.
But so we had access to the preferred pool,
Right.
which you can't see the ocean very well from the general population pool. But where we sat every day, we could watch out on the horizon, and you'd see the blowholes, and you'd see the tails glistening, and it was just very cool to be that close to all of that.
Absolutely, and that's one of the coolest things about Los Cabos. And so and again, as I'm looking, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be factual here on something. I couldn't remember something. The cool thing about Los Cabos, but not so, it's a beautiful area. They have beaches, but the problem with Los Cabos for some is the ocean's not swimmable, because it's where the two bodies of water meet and the terrible riptides and whatever, and you would drown and that would be bad, and we'd be sad and things would not be good. But it still has beautiful scenery, beautiful rocks, and you know,
and we did go down by the ocean, well, the sea, technically, I guess, where the Secrets Resort is located. There is a lifeguard on duty down there, but we didn't see a whole lot of people trying to go anywhere near there. But I did go down there and get my toes in the sand and look at the odd mix of sand, because it's multicolored. It's the black, it's the white, there's some red. But yeah, the riptides there are insane.
They're terrible. And I remember our honeymoon, the lifeguard basically told us, he's like, you can't swim in the ocean. And I said, oh, okay, well, what are you here for? And he's like, tell you can't swim in the ocean. And I was like, okay, fair enough, you know. But we knew that going in advance. So you check in, sanitation, very thorough. You go to the preferred called pool, which is, so I'm going to revisit, we're talking about Secrets Puerto Los Cabos and Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. And
the Secrets Resort too, I mean, it's all part of a family of resorts, that there's different levels. Secrets, it's 18 and older only, and they have zero tolerance for the spring break crowd, which, you know, we appreciated that. We're in that stage between where our kids are in their 20s, but we're not even interested in grandkids. So we were happy to have an adults only experience. It was super nice.
And Secrets is a great brand. It's actually one that I would say, if we look back at my 7 years, I think I've sold the most.
Yeah, I would go again.
It's a great brand.
I would go again.
So this is what I was trying to find. So, okay, so let's talk real quick food. So according to this, there are 8 restaurants and 4 bars. So you had Barefoot Grill.
We did Barefoot Grill quite a bit. And they would also deliver from Barefoot Grill. Actually, no, that wasn't Barefoot. Never mind. Forget that. Barefoot. Well, and all of their menus down there, it's all scanned.
QR codes. Yeah.
It's all QR codes. There's no paper menus. There's no plastic menus, nothing. If you don't have a phone, or if you're carrying, you pass the phone around the table. But yeah, it's all QR codes.
So they had their Italian restaurant, they had the Seaside Grill, they had their Mexican restaurant. I'm looking at the list: seafood, the Himatsu, the Asian one. So anyways,
and that one was tough to get into, because they have 3 hibachis set up in there. They only run one group at a time, so to keep it spread out. So they would only accept reservations starting at like 4:00 in the afternoon. And that was the hot ticket.
So what was your favorite meal there?
Probably that one.
Because a lot of people travel And I've told you the story. I had a client that went to Jamaica, and her number one complaint was the Japanese food wasn't authentic. And I was like, well, what were you looking for? Like,
Well,
I
and
mean,
they're
so
very upfront that it's a Asian fusion
right.
inspired.
So it's their take.
So there was tahine and everything else in there, and yeah, it was amazing.
But the food was good. You never had a bad meal?
The food was amazing. The one thing that we found down there is they have a breakfast buffet.
Mhm.
We went to that a couple of times, but you're never going to go wrong if you're at that Secrets anyway, ordering the room service
Mhm.
for breakfast in particular. I believe I have pictures of that I'll share with you.
Sure.
But the food was amazing. It
On-
was really amazing.
And again, at Secrets, they're known for their food.
Yeah.
I mean, they have good food. I never had a bad meal at a Secrets.
And they did fun things at night too. So we were there they had a Mexican Heritage Night. And so out in the big courtyard area, they had food all the way around. They brought in dancers. So there was like celebrating the Mayans and the Aztecs and, all the traditional Mexican history
Sure.
type things, mariachis, and it was really.
So let me ask you this. We're kind of like bouncing around a little bit,
Yeah,
and that's
sorry.
no, that's me. That's all me. But so far, everything sounds like you were enjoying yourself. You had a good time.
Mhm.
As far as for the guests, what were the mask requirements out and about in the resort? Was it required on the pool deck? Was it required while you were walking through the halls or the open air? What was the masking guidelines?
So that one, they weren't as. It was when you went into the restaurants and things of that nature. Yes, you wore your mask without a doubt. Some people, if they were out walking through the corridor, because they're all open air corridors, some people weren't wearing them, some were.
Okay.
But the staff that works there, they're all completely masked.
But again, for you, so on the beach, you didn't have to, at
No.
the pool, you didn't have to, nothing like that. Okay.
No. But if you went to go to use the restroom,
Sure, put your mask on.
mask on. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, that kind of thing was, I don't know. To me, if there were people around, we just put our mask on.
Sure. But again, you didn't feel like it was a hindrance. You were
No.
able to
No.
enjoy and whatever. Okay. So let's talk back just a little bit, because CDC guidelines say that in order to come home from an international destination, you have to get a COVID test.
Yeah.
And you have to have a negative COVID test. So tell me about that process. What was that like?
So that process, you book your appointment, usually at check-in. We were a day or two after that, actually. But they sign you up for a time, you show up, they have a dedicated area with a technician there. They do the full nasal swab. It isn't a rapid test either, but yet they get their results in like 2 hours.
Okay.
So yeah, you go through that, then you get a card that says, yes, you were tested, and yes, it was negative, or no antigen. I forget what the terminology was, but it was, you had a negative test.
Okay.
And then that you have to carry with you to the airport and hand that in as proof of that you have done your thing, along with a questionnaire that you have to have when you first arrive in the country with your health information. Then
Okay.
you turn that in with your negative test.
Okay. So to talk about a couple things too, just for those that are listening or watching. So as it stands right now, whether you're vaccinated or not, it doesn't affect whether you get a test or not. That's something that they haven't changed for international guidelines. The CDC made some changes, but pretty much just domestic stuff. And so international, you still have to get a test, so on and so forth. The test has to be within 72 hours of your return. And as I understand it, I think you can actually get it at the airport if your resort didn't do it. Did you see that at all?
No, but I wasn't looking
attention
for it from the standpoint. We had
you had all your stuff
all of our stuff, but I guess not all of the resorts down there are offering the on-site COVID.
Yeah, a lot of them are offering them complimentary and on site, and there's other hotels and other places that are
Right.
requiring you to find your own. I mean, so again, that was one less thing that you had to worry about,
Mhm.
one less stressor on your vacation.
Yeah.
You knew it was handled, it was arranged, whatever.
Right.
And so for again, people listening, if you do test positive, I mean, so I guess I have to say, you know, everyone has to have their own comfort level. And, you know, Brett and Tracy and I, we spoke of it as any of my clients speak of. As it stands, a lot of the places that I'm selling have it in place that if you were to test positive,
Mhm.
at no additional cost to you or a minimal cost to you, you will quarantine at their hotel, or you can pay for another test if you feel like it's inaccurate or whatever. So there is that risk, but a lot of places have stepped up and made sure that if it did happen, it's not on your dime, which
Well,
is
and it
nice.
shows that they're confident in the precautions that they are taking.
Sure.
Because Secrets, that was complimentary if you
Mhm.
were there, if you had to quarantine there. You know, and like I said, their room service was exquisite. So I mean, if you had to hole up somewhere, that would be the place to do it, I guess.
Yeah,
You know, it
could be worse places.
very much so.
Yeah.
But no, and then the resort was at 55% capacity
Okay.
when we were there. I don't know, I haven't followed up to see if they've, you know,
Did
allowed
you ever feel
more.
clustered? Did you ever
No,
feel like, did you
no.
feel like you could spread out if you wanted to, pretty much? I mean, I would
Oh
assume so
yeah,
at
it was
55%, sure.
totally fine. And even the outdoor events that they had the tables completely spread out.
Mhm.
You know, there were 10 to 12 people that they could seat at a
Mhm.
table, but they weren't so focused on putting 12 people at a table. It was, if you came in a group of 2, you were put at a table separately. You know, they did a good job of trying to space people out.
Okay.
Yeah, they're obviously taking it very seriously.
So let's just talk in general then.
Mhm.
What were some of your favorites, whether it was the food, the room, the employee, what were some of your highlights of the actual resort at Secrets Puerto Los Cabos? What were some of your favorites if you had to?
Oh my gosh. It was peaceful. It
Mhm.
was quiet. You know, and that was what we were looking for. We weren't looking to go and have a party. We were looking to unwind and relax. Our room was exceedingly comfortable. We had a swim out room, so we had our own patio with the swim out room. Worst ways to start your day and have a cup of coffee, just sit out there and do your thing.
Absolutely.
It was very, very comfortable. There, we did do a couple of the spa services there.
Mhm.
Those were top notch. There again, very, you're masked the entire time unless you're
Mhm.
doing a facial, and then that's even, they're
Modified.
masked and everything. Yeah, it's, but just for me, it's been a crazy year with the doing what I do, and my husband works in the transportation industry, and that's been pretty rough. It was just very nice to just chill and relax and just be kind of pampered and taken care of.
Mhm. And that's what Secrets is good at. I mean,
Oh my
that's what
gosh.
Secrets is very good at. And you know, their Secrets emphasis is romance, and then you have Breathless, which is the party, and then you have Dreams and Now, which is family, and you know,
And
they have
then
many different brands.
They have Zoetree.
Yeah,
that's,
Zoetree, which is like a
higher-
wellness. Yes.
Yeah,
It's on
yeah.
my list. It's on my list.
I want to try one just to see, but I would just keep going to Secrets, I think. And their brand has grown so many places.
And they continue to, Sue.
Continue to. Yeah, we get all their mailers now, you know. They're opening all over the place. I wouldn't hesitate to go to another Secrets because they're, and as the buildings, as I understood it, as like maybe the Secrets Resort maybe gets a little dated or run down over time, they'll downgrade it to, is there an Onyx?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think that's a lower.
Yeah, that's like it's more of an economy brand or budget friendly
Right.
brand or whatever.
So they'll move that, turn that into an Onyx and open a new Secret. So it's always, I mean, everything was very new and fresh looking.
All right,
there.
so let's do this. Let's summarize as the
Yeah.
client, not the travel agent. Summarize Secret Puerto Los Cabos for someone. What are they that would want to, like, you give your summary of the resort, like who you would send there or who you would recommend it for, and
I would recommend it for anybody that's wanting a relaxing, chill vacation. The Secrets was set up that, it was more what we were looking for. If I were younger, I would probably have looked at, and we did visit the Dreams.
Mhm.
That's more family friendly. It was beautiful, but it was chaotic. It
Mhm.
was just, you could just feel there was a whole different energy there.
Mhm.
So yeah, the Secrets, it's beautiful. The amenities, the food is handled. The staff, super, super friendly. I would say they went above and beyond to make you feel welcome.
Okay.
Even if there was a language barrier, it was, you never felt out of place,
Okay.
I guess is what I would say. Yeah.
So obviously you and Brett tested negative. You guys made it home.
Yes.
We'll kind of wrap with leaving Mexico. What was that
Yeah.
process like? And then coming back to the US, just kind of summarize what you had to go through,
Okay. So when you get to the airport, again, they do the whole thing with your shoes and your luggage and all of that. You do have a couple of different spots you have to go through there's the COVID station that's kind of lumped in with the baggage claim area.
Okay.
They also had a baggage check. They also had a different spot for carry-ons, but most people there had luggage.
Mhm.
You go through that, you go through their security, which was really not a big deal, or you're in the immigration and everything. And it was a lot easier, honestly, than getting through O'Hare.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a lot less stressful.
Okay.
They have everything mapped out super well. So if you're in a queue to get to somewhere, where you're going, it's very clearly marked.
Mhm.
And it's expeditious,
Okay.
but I wouldn't say it was expeditious, but not rushed, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So, okay, so you got your negative test, you go through, you get on the plane, same procedure flying home, you get to
Yes.
Chicago. Anything different coming home into Chicago? Did they want anything from Mexico? Did they want proof of anything, or did they assume that just because
You did have to
got
fill
where
out
you
all
were
of
good?
your forms.
Okay.
But most, again, I think all of that, a lot of that is put on the originating.
Okay, so your origin.
Space.
Okay.
It did take a while to get through immigration and all of that in O'Hare. But you expect
It is what it is.
that.
You expect
You
that, yeah.
expect that. And yeah, but no, sorry, Mexico, they're a well-oiled machine.
Well, and I guess that's something I meant to allude back to, is you texted me and you said, I feel safer here in regards to COVID
Mhm.
than I do places
Absolutely.
at home. And I mean, you definitely paint the picture of attention to detail and compliance and just kind of like making sure everything's comfortable for you as the guest. And it doesn't sound like
Yep.
you were ever uncomfortable. So
No.
that's a good thing.
And we did a couple of excursions off-site. One of them was a private transport. That's just what they do. And we went and swam with dolphins and did a sea lion and swam with sea lions. Even there, it wasn't even related to the resort, but even there, everyone is masked. The trainers that were going through the whole process with you, they were all shielded, masked. And then we were there with another family from Chicago, actually, but they made separate.
Okay.
Separate. They're just being very cautious because they were shut down for quite a while and they did not weather it as well as some people here,
And they wanted
even
to
though
avoid
we
it.
felt like it
Right.
was pretty oppressive.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they want to avoid it again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this
And
is
at the resort, I should mention, the lady that was our caretaker at the preferred pool, she was telling us she has to get tested every 5 days.
Okay.
The employees have to get tested.
So they're
every 5
taking that
days.
very serious with the staff too.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
again, that's good to hear because again, you know, the whole reason I wanted to talk with you is because people need to hear that, you know, I don't disagree. If you're comfortable traveling, that's your prerogative,
Mhm.
you know, and whether you're, like I said, whether you're vaccinated or not, or whatever, you know,
Mhm.
but you got to go through these hoops. And some people, you know, I think need to hear that, yeah, there's some hoops, but you can get through them. And it was an
Yeah.
enjoyable trip.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't feel oppressed by it at all.
and you didn't feel stressed.
No.
Yeah.
And they didn't, there were plenty of people down there that were fully vaccinated,
Mhm.
but that wasn't even a discussion.
Sure,
You know, it was, yeah, I'm vaccinated, but this is what we're doing, you
Right,
know,
still gotta do the
and
thing.
yeah, yeah.
All right, well, this is gonna be the wrap up. So
All
what I
right.
need you to do is I need you to
Oof.
tell me about me. But in reality, you know, not even just Priority One Travel, but just using a travel agent in general. I mean, give your thoughts on that. You know, what would you use a travel agent again, and what did you
Full
find valuable or
disclosure,
not? Yeah.
we had never used a travel agent before. We'd always done all of our own booking. And this having Dale, who, you know, obviously he's a dear friend of mine. He held our hand from start to finish, even the parts that I wasn't part of, because like I said, this was a surprise gift at Christmas. Dale took care of everything. And then when we were having our passport issues, if I was having to figure out all the changing stuff, in addition to fighting with the State Department and the US Postal Service, I would totally go through Dale again, because he had everything mapped out for us from before we left. Here, these are links to the forms that you're going to need when you get to Mexico. Print those out, fill them out, so you don't have to worry about that. You know, he had everything lined out. It was so nice. And then I wouldn't leave him alone. I'm on vacation. I'm like texting him, hey, they're doing this. Hey, they're doing that.
But I love that stuff.
And
it made me know that you were having a good time. Which,
well, and the other component of it is Dale, when we were at the airport,
Mhm.
before we went to the airport, Dale had said, this may be over the top, but text me and let me know you made it through security. And I think part of that was, if there was a problem, you had your computer right there and you were going to fix it.
Yeah.
You were going to make a change. Yeah, he held our hand through the whole thing. And yeah, we ran the gamut with my passport
that was
stuff.
Yeah.
Because then we didn't even follow up with, when I did finally get my passport,
Mhm.
it was damaged.
That's
and
right.
I had to send it back. And it was like, okay, am I going to get this, or are we going to have to reschedule
Cancel again? Yeah.
So yeah, we put Dale through his paces. You know, high praise. There's a reason he is who he is, and he's wonderful. And I couldn't recommend anyone higher than working with Dale.
Well, and another thing to point out too, just for those that don't know, maybe they're listening to this and they're like, well, how much did all this cost them? Well, it didn't. So it didn't, there's no fees with Priority One Travel. We're paid by the supplier. So a lot of people don't realize that, you know, if you don't travel, I don't get paid. So you get a lot of work for free. And if you don't go, then it's for free. And maybe that's shame on me, but that's how I operate. Other travel agencies do different things, but at the end of the day, it doesn't cost you anymore. So listening to all these things that you experienced, you know, and it didn't cost you an extra dime to go through those headaches, other than the passport, because I can't work with the passport agency on your behalf.
Right.
You know, stress-free, no additional cost.
But you were able to go through and
everything.
deal with all of the other moving parts that were also being impacted because of my mess. And the other part of having Dale versus, you can read a lot of reviews online and go, oh, this looks like a good resort. Dale's networked with the world. And I know Dale was just on vacation where he was staying. It was like, hey, I need to see the inner workings here, or I would like to, so I know if I can send people there. he's not looking at it as what's on the surface. He's going deeper and making sure that you get the best experience, because it's expensive to travel.
It is, so it's got to be valuable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's definitely value added. And, you know, if you haven't been to a certain place before, you know, someone you can talk to in your industry that will give you the skinny and make sure that we're getting the right.
And that is true. I mean, that is
Right
very true. I
information.
can't be everywhere, but so.
No.
Well, hey, look at that. We did it. We did it. The first one in person.
Yay!
It happened. It happened. It's going to go live. And yeah. So when we post this, we'll attach links to the resort specifically. Tracy's going to get me some photos so you can see some firsthand photos. Pre-pandemic, I sent some clients to this resort, my cousin and some of his friends, and they had a great time as well. So we'll make sure some of that information's out there. And so thanks for listening. And the next one probably will be with me and my beautiful wife discussing some of the domestic travel stuff as well. So we're going to start trying to get more content out there, make it more informative, and reach everyone out there so that if you're ready to travel, you know where to go or who to talk to about going. So
always Dale.
Priority One Travel on Facebook, Instagram, PriorityOneTravel.com on the World Wide Web. And yeah, so thanks, Tracy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right.